left de Gurs one morning, my mother took us to a part of Lyon where I had never been, and we met someone. I didn't even know this person's name, a woman, an adult lady. My mother had packed this little knapsack for my sister and for me, with an apple and a change of clothing, some warm clothing, some extra socks, some extra underwear, an apple, and told us we were going to the Massif Central. Now, I knew the Massif Central is a mountain range. I said, okay, we're going to the mountains. It's vacation time. I was delighted.
It was in September 1941. I think it was towards the evening, because I remember looking out of the train and saying to myself, what beautiful countryside this is.
We said goodbye to our mother, and she took us a train that first took us to Saint-Étienne, where we changed, and then we went on a little tiny train that puffed its way across the countryside and up the mountain, and stopped at a place called Le Chambon-sur-Lignon. I had never heard of Le Chambon-sur-Lignon, of course. We got out, and we were met on the station, and this person took me in this little cart that was sort of drawn by an animal, which I guess was a mule, was not a horse. And it just went on, and finally stopped at this house, someplace in the middle of nowhere. Not another house inside, not another building inside, nothing.
We were sheltered up at La Guispie, a little house up the hill, and it was a small house. And I think we were about 20 kids there. So it was tight.
Le Chambon is in this God-forsaken part of France, very inhospitable. Pasteur Trocmé came to Le Chambon somehow as he was sort of punished, because during World War I, he refused to serve in the army. He was a pacifist, and he refused to bear arms. So they eventually sent him, be a pacifist, you go to, instead of giving him a top-notch community, they sent him to Le Chambon-sur-Lignon.
And he insisted that in his region, in Le Chambon, there was to be no resistance activities, no shooting of Germans. He had a point. You shoot a German, the Germans will retaliate, and the whole village will suffer. But it was part of his belief not to take human life. That's why he was calling for weapons of the spirit and not weapons with guns, okay? It just so happened that the people came there because the message, it was organized, okay? So you needed some form of organization, and this is where the role of André Trocmé is very important, okay? That he made the connections with various groups of resistance, Jewish groups like Orsay, and other groups in Marseille and Nice, okay? Telling them, you can bring people to Le Chambon, just bring them over, and we'll make all the arrangements once they're here.
And my daily routine was to herd the cow and the goat. And Marcel and I would take the cow and the goat to the meadow where other herders used to bring their animals, other young men.
We did not have a radio, a telephone, a newspaper, so we knew very little what was going on in the outside world. It was just like being on an island, right? And so if we went to church, we really went to listen to what was going on.
I had no idea why I was there. I had no idea why I was in Le Chambon. And as a matter of fact, the only idea I had was that Madame Dreyfus had said to us on the train, when you are in Le Chambon, don't talk about who you are, and you will not be able to get any mail, and you will not be able to send out mail. And of course, there was no electricity, and of course, there was no contact with the outside world. The only contact I had with the outside world was occasionally Monsieur Fournier would go into town to bring the milk from the cow, and he would come back and he would tell me what he had heard at the cafe. He informed me he had heard that they had picked up all the Jews in Lyon, in the Lyon area, and don't expect to find your parents when you come back. By that time, I had begun to get an inkling, of the fact that I was there for a reason, that I was being hidden, and that he had some knowledge of why I was there.
Everyone was counseling everyone to avoid any confrontation with the authorities, with the Nazis. And helping a Jew meant you might face a concentration camp. In every other place in Europe, the righteous that we honored were people who decided on an individual and lonely basis, yes, I'm going to do something in spite of the risks, okay? Although I can't tell to my neighbors, I can't talk to my friends, my next door neighbor, I can't say, I have to keep the secret to myself. And Le Chambon is completely different. In Le Chambon, I'm saving the Jews. So everybody's doing that. And everybody's doing that. It's a matter of course, and there's nothing exceptional about it. Okay? What about the risk? Well, that's life. So if there are any risks, so we have a history of taking risks to preserve our religion, and we'll take the risk.
And there were still roundups going on and deportations going on and all that sort of stuff. And I felt I might as well try to get there. In order to get away from the situation we were in. You see a deportation train, you know. No matter how safe Le Chambon was, and it was super safe, you never know. I mean, the people of Le Chambon were the best people on earth. After my mother was deported, after we had been in hiding, I had relatives in Switzerland, my mother's sister and brother-in-law and cousins. And I went to see a friend, Hans Salomon. He has passed away in Philadelphia. And he had a map on the wall in Les Roches. And I looked at the map he had on the wall and I said, you know, Hans, we have to get from here to there being Switzerland. And he looked at me and said, you're crazy. Okay, I'm crazy.